Okay, so on these Hondas, we have a little petcock down here that we can get to things. Get that thing to go loose. Yeah, it comes loose. Okay. We'll let some of this in. Mount disconnected, because I'm going to disconnect the motor mount and then get to the belt idler pulley. It's probably going to be a little easier. And of course this thing is going to take a long 17mm socket for that, so we'll figure that out in a minute here. This is in the way big time. Whoa. So let's look here. Let's see how this looks. Yep, power steering pump comes out, idler comes out. This belt looks like it's pretty trashed. Alright, so let me get the deep socket for that, and it's going to require a really deep socket. Let's see here, see what we got. Get this motor. Alright, so kind of just removing all this stuff here, getting to the point where we can get this. Alright, so I've got the motor mount, got this top part removed of the motor mount, and I've got all the motor mount out of the way, and then I've got this bracket that holds the motor mount loose, and you can't take the bolts out. Maybe you can take them out of the top one, but yeah, that one comes out. And that one over there looks like it comes out. Let's see. So those two are about the same, but that third one, it's not coming out. So I'm gonna have to move this line around a little bit. This line here is in the way, it's blocking it. And just jack it up enough to get that bolt to clear. And there we are, success. That gets them three out. Let's look at it. Looks to be the same. Yep, they're all the same length, so we're good. So now we can get the belt off, tensioner off, power steering pump off. Alright, so these are the two bolts that hold the power steering pump on. Make sure you guys can see this properly. So we got this little feller loose. It's going to give us a little bit of space. It's not going to be perfect, but just kind of have to move it back like that. But these two bolts, they're the same length, and they come out right here. Come out from right there, so we throw them in there. Don't forget what they look like. So we take the bolt out of the center for this and get this little feller off, and this is where you check this pulley. You check the bearing on it to make sure that it's, you know, that it's not crazy. Go. Okay, so this is the tensioner. It has 3 bolts in it. There we go. That's where the power steering mounts. It has these 3 bolts in there. And these 2 are the same length, and that one in the center is really long. It's got quite a bit longer. So there we go. That's the tensioner. And that's what everything looks like. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty. Okay, so for the bottom bolts on this water pump, need to remove this inner plastic stuff. I took this thing off and pushed it out of the way pretty good so you could get to it. Come here. One there. There's one up over there. There he is. So you'll have to get a long extension. Okay, get a long extension with a swivel on the end of it to get those out. That's the best way I could figure it. So, and putting it back in is just a test of patience. So, and I took the bottom panel, I took all that junk off. So, and also as well, after you remove the motor mount, you're gonna lower this whole motor down. I'm taking this video after the fact because when I did it before it got messed up. So hope this helps somebody. All right, so I've got all the bolts out. I spent the most time on the three bolts on the bottom. The 3 bolts on the top on this water pump here. 3 bolts on the top are pretty easy. Okay, so I don't know where it ended, but the 3 bolts on the bottom were a pain. I had to lower it all the way down to get to those. 3 bolts on the top were tight. So you got to be careful that they, you know, that the threads don't pull out, because they're the threads are kind of dry. You can see that they're kind of white, so they've got a little bit of corrosion on them. So just be careful with that. It looks like it's going to be a little tricky to get it out. I'm going to have to mess with it a little bit. But yeah, it's a tight little feller. I was able to get it out with a real long extension. Yep, I had a real long extension, you know, like a 20-inch extension, and a small swivel socket on the end, which obviously is not available right now. Oh, here it is. Yep, I've got a swivelly socket like this that fits in there just fine, and I was able to get those 3 bolts loose. So the ones that are trickier, these 3 on the bottom, you have to get this one like at this angle. I mean, it's really tight angle. So got them all done. You might check this pulley. The edges are kind of sharp, so if you get your fingers in here, you know, you can buff these edges out so it doesn't cut your fingers. Just make sure, you know, you get it together with the O-ring gasket. No silicone is required. Let me get this other one out. I'll probably have to jack it up a little bit to get it clearance. All right, so it does come out the top, and I had to jack the engine up all the way. And man, you have to follow this little nub that sticks out. It has to follow this groove that's in the water pump housing. There's a groove there. I don't know if this can see it or not, but there's a groove right here. So you let that little nub follow through that groove, and it can come out. I don't know what they're thinking. Man, this is right up there with a dang Nissan trying to take apart a Nissan Altima alternator. Just got to take the whole car apart to get it out. So anyway, so I got it out. Let's see here. Got it out. It's a Honda pump. It's a Honda pump. Looks pretty good. It got all wet, so I can't tell, but does it look like it was leaking? I don't see any debris down here at the bottom. I mean, there's just a tiny bit of something down there. The impeller looks good. But yeah, we'll get this new one put on there. Man, that was a pain in the butt. Goodness.